According to the judgment of the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinale, Farina is...
Well, what's wrong? What's the Oratrice's verdict?
No, the Oratrice also displays a guilty verdict.
Isn't that correct then?
However, the exact wording of the verdict is thus. The Hydro Archon, guilty, to be punished via the death sentence.
That's actually one of the available sentences? I've always thought that it was just a myth.
The one and only time the death sentence has been handed out at the court, and it's been given to the very person we've worshipped as the god of justice?
Farina's been sentenced to death by the Oratrice?
This outcome is indeed quite strange. Is this sentence really appropriate for the crimes that have been committed?
Yeah! Even Masquerade wasn't sentenced to death by the Oratrice. You know, the real evil mastermind behind the serial
Indeed. Not only is Farina's sentence overly excessive, the very point of our trial today was also to prove that Farina has never been the Hydro Archon in the first place. But now, the Oratrice seems to have deliberately invoked the title of the Hydro Archon. What does this mean?
Excuse me, if I may interrupt. Is the trial still going?
Fremine! You finally made it.
Mm-hmm. Any mission, Father.
Is that the first prophecy slate? Huh. So the knave
I looked everywhere and finally found it at the bottom of the sea. But has the trial already concluded?
Thank you for your hard work, Mr. Fremine. Please allow me to review... Traveler, I believe that you have already seen the other existing slates.
Huh? So what do you see? What is it?
I believe I've now made sense of the Hydro Archon's crime. It has to do with Fontaine's lost history.
Huh? Isn't the Hydro Archon just guilty of deceiving her people? Oh, wait, no, that's Farina, and we've already proven that she's not the Hydro Archon. So when you say Hydro Archon, do you mean the real Hydro Archon we've been kinda talking about?
In truth, everything that you've encountered in Fontaine up until this point can be traced back to the contents of these stone slates. However, I'm uncertain as to how much sense they currently make to you.
Okay, let's try to recall the The first stone slate describes what you just said. It seems to show the previous Hydro Archon using her divine power. And does that mean that Fontainians are transformed Oceanids? Oh, Paimon wasn't expecting that. The second stone slate shows Celestia floating in the sky, and the Hydro Archon and her people worshipping it together. This must be the point when the Hydro Archon and the Fontainians were branded with their original sin. Does this mean that the original sin and the third slate shows the Hydro Archon sinking into the sea surrounded by many people? That reminds Paimon, didn't we also watch? Well, the fourth slate is the prophecy the Fontainians have been talking about. We didn't believe that such a crazy disaster. That doesn't
It's not as simple as falling in. When Navia fell in the...
That doesn't...
Perhaps what is about to take place has the we know from the case of the first stone this might... The prophecy from the stone slates found its if we
They'll dissolve into the primordial sea but won't cease to exist. Their essence will flow in the seawater. The Hydro Archon was sentenced to death in court, shocking everyone present. Navia fell into the water inside those ruins, and she nearly dissolved. She was surrounded by the people of Poisson in a court within her consciousness. The eruption of the primordial sea at the fortress of Meripede was the prophecy's contents can all be verified by recent events. Huh? Oh, Paimon gets it now! So that's how you can make sense of it. But then it feels like we're going to have to share some truly shocking revelations.
Let's hear them.
Incredible. Linny,
We're not real.
All Fontanians were originally created by the late previous Hydro Archon, with the evidence for that can be found in how only... Oh, and according to Navia, when she was about to get dissolved, she also saw everyone gathered around for a trial. All of them...
Indeed.
Yeah, and it follows from the content of the first slate that she probably angered Celestia by creating humans without prior... That could also explain why the Oratrice judged the Hydro Archon to be guilty. It's to account for that ancient sin.
the Hydro Archon's true sin was creating us?
And yet, after many hundreds of years, the Hydro Archon's creations have turned around to try to judge the Archon within the Opera Epiclese.
Yeah, isn't the image here just like when Navia fell into the sea? So wouldn't it be trying to show the image of the Hydro Archon also falling into the sea? In the end, the people will all be dissolved into the waters, and only the Hydro Archon will remain. Did Paimon get all that right?
You've made some keen deductions. I must say, however, while you were able to decode all the information on when we were at the ruins, I tried to decipher the hidden information recorded in the slates. But since we only had 3 slates at the time, I was unable to come to a full conclusion. Now that the slate collection is complete, I shall make another attempt to decipher the narrative recorded within. If everything goes well, we should finally be informed of the unadulterated truth.
What?
I believe I should share this truth not only with you, but with your hypotheses regarding the origin of Fontanians and the sin of the In the Fontaine of old, the previous Hydro Archon sensed the yearning of her Oceanid familiars for life on land. The Oceanids were enamored with the beauty and romanticism of human beings, and wishing to have those experiences for themselves, expressed to the Hydro Archon their... However, even though water as an element is intricately linked with the power of life, the Hydro Archon, as one of the 7, did not possess the authority to create a new form of human life. Not one to give in, she eventually found a way to create permanent humanoid bodies for her familiars by appropriating the power of this planet's primordial sea. She poured primordial seawater into the Oceanids' blood vessels, creating humanoid mimics in the process. But if Fontanians were to ever come into direct contact with water from the primordial sea, the power within their bodies would escape these artificial restraints and return to the sea. As a result, their forms would collapse, and they would be reverted to their original forms as Oceanids. Of course, The Hydro Archon never received permission from the heavenly principles to create a new human race. And thus, the Hydro Archon and all of her creations came to shoulder the original sin of appropriating the power of the primordial sea. That is the true history.
So we were all Oceanids before we turned into human beings?
That's way too much information for me. I think I'm just going to pretend. Wait, but if that's the truth, we can't let the Hydro Archon be sentenced to death?
This really might be too much.
Alas, your hypothesis regarding the third and fourth stone slates wasn't. A key point of the visual on the third slate is how all the individuals depicted in the water are humans rather than Ocean. They have not been dissolved, which implies that the water depicted in this slate is not water from the primordial sea. The nation of Fontaine is the nation of Hydro, as well as the nation of trials and justice. Instead of being the literal element, the water in the scene symbolizes judgment and justice. You may also recall Navia's experience. Therefore, the meaning that the people of Fontaine shall try the Hydro Archon at the court of justice. Yes.
I think I'm following now. So, in truth, everything we've done.
What should we do?
Huh. No matter what, the prophecy will be fulfilled.
If that's the case, does that mean the
Traveler, I would like to point out another about the fourth slate. You probably thought that the eruption of primordial seawater beneath the fortress of Meripede served as the However, I believe that rather than being a sure sign, as for the root cause of the catastrophe, I believe you've already encountered it once before. This eruption was just a small warning of the things to come.
That doesn't...
It was both.
If we're talking about a true culprit, that could only be that thing inside the
The truth, the original sin.
That was way too close! How did that thing just burst into the Opera House? Wait, was that the huge whale you saw in your dream?
So we've met it at last. I understand very well why it is chosen. That whale does not belong. It has been greedily consuming the energy from the planet's primordial sea. And once it has finished consuming all of the...
You said that when the Hydro Archon first created Fontainians...
Precisely. That whale finds the blood of Fontainians nigh impossible to... Therefore, when it left the primordial sea, it decided to make its...
We just barely managed to push it back, right?
That is correct. Indeed, from the way he looked, he must have been...
That battle maniac. Anyway,
It is too late. It had already absorbed too much of the primordial sea's energy before we could... Even if the entirety of Tevat were to be...
We've already done everything we can. We've come so far. You can't just tell me that the last hurdle is some impossible foe.
Indeed. That's not how a grand perform-
I'll fight it to the end.
So the prophecy will be fulfilled no matter what, huh?
The prophecy. Yes, what has been Just as prophecies are usually only the future as seen from the ultimately, fate shall serve as your only guide, no matter what will happen in
What's happening with the oratories?
I believe it is preparing to carry out the death sentence.
Farina! No, I still need answers.
You...
Sorry. That shocked expression on your face is just too amusing. I couldn't...
You are not Farina.
The sweet sound of bewilderment. Marvelous. A sure sign that my attempt to deceive everyone was a resounding success.
Fosolo. Why did you deceive us?
Oh, that wasn't my goal, of course. Goodness, no. But I had to fool everyone else, too, if I was to stand any chance of deceiving the Heavenly Principle.
Deceiving the Heavenly...
It's all because of that pernicious prophecy. Dreadful, wasn't it? Everyone doomed to dissolve. Fontaine condemned to be flooded. One was not amused. In fact, one was positively bemused when that problem was thrust upon me by my dearest predecessor. That's the former Hydro Archon Egeria, for the uninitiated. It hardly gets more disastrous than a preordained national catastrophe, now does it? She knew full well that the prophecy would surely come to pass. And as one of the seven, she also knew full well that one defies the Heavenly Principle. So yes, as you have no doubt surmised, it was a rather impossible situation that I found myself in. I spent a terribly long time mulling it over, alone on the ocean floor. And I was almost growing barnacles by the time I finally realized there was only one possible solution. I had to outwit the Heavenly Principles, allow the prophecy to be fulfilled, ostensibly at least, while saving everyone. I'm a genius, I know. I can only assume that's why Egeria chose me as her successor. Although, looking back now, it was hardly the inheritance one dreams of. Between the task of saving the nation, the quotidian duties of the Hydro Archon, and not to mention the original sin of creating a new race of humans, I dare say she left me quite a colossal mess to clean up. But one can only play the hand one is dealt. I did not choose this, any more than I chose to be one of her Oceanid familiars.
So you were also once one of the Oceanids, transformed into a human by Egeria's hand.
Yes, I was. I always dreamed of becoming human. And I still do, even now. In my eyes, to be human is to be part of the greatest opera ever known. After becoming a god, I separated my divinity from my body and spirit, leaving behind only a self that was as naive and bewildered as my past self on her first day as a human being. The me you see before you now is that divinity. She could feel joy, sorrow, and everything in between. She could be as vain and conceited, or as meek and vulnerable as she wished. Her strengths were of a kind only a human could possess, as were her shortcomings. But in my eyes, Furina's humanity was what made her perfect. She was perfectly human in every way. The person I always wanted to be. Anyway, so then I cursed her. All part of the plan, of course. The plan to deceive the heavenly principles. Do you still remember the final scene of the prophecy? The Hydra Archon alone, weeping on her throne. In order that the prophecy might appear fulfilled, I invited Furina to be an actress, to play the part of the Hydro Archon in the prophecy. Under the curse I placed on her, so long as I, Focalor's divinity, continued to exist, she could not die. But nor was she free to live her life in the pursuit of happiness. Instead, she was forced to take the stage in the opera house, to embrace the role of leading lady, to forever play the part of the god from the prophecy, all to create a deceitful appearance of that prophecy coming to pass. I suppose now you probably understand why your court is called the Opera Epiclese.
But Furina is only human, isn't she? Even though she has had a long life, her mind is no stronger than that of any other ordinary human being. I cannot begin to fathom what she has had to endure. It must have been torture for her.
It has indeed. And although she is, in a sense, me in human form, I most definitely owe her an apology for it. It's been 500 years, and all along, she's been playing her part in the most unimaginably long, unbearably lonely, and agonizingly painful opera of all time.
Oh? Who permitted you to come onto the stage? Now, I understand you. All right. It is not my intent to reprimand you. There is no need to state your... Oh, do not jest. I am Focalor. The eyes of countless Fontanians are upon... Dear
Dear audience, the performance is experiencing a technical difficulty, but worry not. The guards shall resolve it soon enough.
Cry louder!
Let's light it up!
Behold!
Hey, what gives? The audience is still watching me, you know. Guards? Wait, where are the guards? Guards! I'm going in!
Squall and Fury!
Farina. Farina. Huh? Who's that? Who's calling me? Where are you? Be not nervous. Be not afraid. Wait a moment. You're... mirror me? Mirror you, huh? You know what? Mirror me. The prophecy. What prophecy? The people will all be dissolved into the waters, and only the Oh, very good. You know it well. What's going on? Yes, it will. And that is why I've come to you. Does that... But doesn't that mean Oh, don't worry. I will tell you how to save everyone. But so there's still hope after all. As for the suffering, well, I will admit that but if the prophecy will come true, if there were scales, with all the people of Fontaine on one side, and my pain on the other. You truly are the perfect human. My ideal. I suppose this would also be the justice that belongs to you. Huh? Don't worry, it's nothing. Listen well. Fontaine has just lost its Hydro Archon. I need you to play a role. That of the new Archon. Play as... That's right. You must begin a never-ending masquerade. You must never let anyone suspect your identity. If you can keep it up, then I shall have my way of defying this prophecy. But should your identity be revealed, then all... But how will I do this? A human assume... Don't worry. What you must do is not to turn yourself into a real god. Being a human yourself, I'm sure you already know what such an entity would be like. Remember, your true challenge will not be pursuing divinity. I'm still not sure I understand, but... So, how long am I going to... To accomplish this mission, you will have... But I promise you, all will... A trial, huh? How exciting.
Maison Cardinalise has announced my accession, but this is my first time facing the people. What should I say to most appear like a god? Ladies and gentlemen, good evening, and welcome to the Opera Epiclese. I'm sure you've all heard about how I have taken on the role of Hydro Archon. Indeed, I am Verena. In truth, I know little about becoming a nation's new god, but as the god Focalor, the god of justice, I shall do all. Once again, thank you all for coming. If you should have any, I thought I might stammer, but thankfully, I was able.
That's the new Hydro Archon. Is this some kind of joke by the Maison? I would have thought that a being that surpasses humanity would be a bit more assertive.
Hey, did you hear that? She even told us to send her suggestions there.
Shouldn't gods be all-powerful? She's being so modest. What?
If you ask me, perhaps the succession didn't actually happen. She might—
Wait, what's going on? Right. Mirmi said that I just need to calm down, Verena. Assertive, with a strong... Now, I was wondering if some weak pup... Well, it seems that you would all see... You may consider my previous act a door gift of sorts. Now then, let's...
Ah, so that was just a performance. How could I have forgotten that we were...
Her personality. It's quite shocking, to be honest, but I suppose it's a better look than before.
Such a fascinating and bold deity. How wonderful. Our future may yet be bright after all.
It seems I've turned them around. Best follow this flow and restart my accession speech. My dear people, whether you acknowledge me or not, whether you trust me or nay, I say to you, keep faith in your ardor for justice. We have heard it said that this nation's sins can no longer be washed away. Well, no, this won't work. They'll suspect me again. I must play the role that they want. The scales of justice should not weigh. May law be the prayer on our lips. May judgment be our worship. Let us light. There is no trouble in this world that justice cannot solve. All that is needed is for you, my people, to believe in it, heart and soul. So long as I, the Archon Focalor, stand within the Opera Epiclese, so long as I stand before the Oratrice, I shall even judge the gods of this world!
Lady Farina, here are today's case reports, as well as a summary of the follow-up for your perusal.
Come now, was I not just at the Opera House in person? Besides, none of these trials were the one that I'm looking forward to the most.
If I may be so impertinent, what kind of
A magnificent, dramatic, and wondrous...
That's true, I fear I lack...
No need for fright, and do not take what I said before too seriously. Go now.
Lady Verena, I don't know what to...
No need to thank me. Oh, I'm afraid that's just an inevitable consequence. All right. Deuteria, is it? How it...
He's doing much better now. In fact...
Oh, good.
You're such a...
Lady Farina, here are the latest hydrological reports. As for the specific parameters...
I see. It's as I thought then. As your god, I did already expect this, but I wanted to see how far your all manner of signs indicate that the prophecy will...
Well...
Really? Have they found any...
I'm afraid that they haven't found...
Oh, is that so? Well, no wonder. The day is finally over, but it's good to see that everything's getting... Maybe this is fine. All right, Farina, don't think too hard about this.
Lady Farina, here are the new trial reports.
There'll be no need for that. I've seen them already.
Lady Farina, I've...
Indeed, my dear, loyal citizen.
Lady Farina, we're detecting significant hydro...
Understood. Keep monitoring. Keep me informed should... I don't think I feel utterly exhausted.
Lady Farina, it's like a dream being able to speak with you. I've heard that the first member of our family who was honored to receive an audience with you was Madame Deoteria, almost 20 generations ago.
And what a fine family yours is indeed. It brings me great joy to meet such a faithful believer. A descendant of a line most...
Surely...
What is it, good citizen?
Are you crying?
This must be the overflow of hydro from my person. Well, can't quite help being the god whose dominion is the waters, can I?
No wonder. No wonder. A manifest...
So interminable. So lonely. Just how much longer? Hundreds of years must have passed by now. I never imagined. Have I reached I want to tell someone. I've conducted so many investigations across. All I can do is keep heart. I must maintain this act.
Farina, you don't have to shoulder this, although I don't know what you might be keeping.
Share my That's impossible. It was fated right from the start that this would be—
But even if your burden doesn't need to be shared, just share it with me.
A witness. And if to that it... He's right. I could confide in him, couldn't I? But if things don't play out as expected... No, Farina. But what if... Farina Is it such an outrageous thing to do anyway? To find someone in whom you can, if you let this opportunity slip through your, think about it long and hard.
No, I have nothing to say. I am Farina. All you need to do, dear spectator, is to witness...
Fine.
So even Farina doesn't know the truth? You've never once let her in on the
Yes, it had to be done. To deceive the heavenly principles, you must... She did very well. If she had let her resolve falter even once in these 5 centuries, it seems that trusting humanity was the right decision after.
I believe that I understand how your deception works, but that is only half the truth, is it not? How would you build on this foundation to save...
Ah, good, good. Of course, the Iudex of Fontaine has pinpointed the crux of the issue. I'm sure you've long sensed that the Oratrice is no...
I've always suspected that it had its own consciousness. And Lenny did mention that he heard a human... It now seems that that person was you, hidden within...
And then I became one with the Oratrice, taking Fontaine's gnosis with me. Yes, it would seem so. Alas, your understanding of this device still lacks sufficient... In truth, it is no enactor of justice. It is, in fact, a device created to kill the god of justice.
I beg your pardon?
Oh, you have it. And to be more precise... Not only will the Oratrice take down the god of justice, it will also take down the divine throne upon which she has been placed. I mean, my work over these last 500 years has been to constantly accumulate indemnitium within the Oratrice. But really, some have already discovered that only a small fraction of the energy generated by the device was ever used. The vast majority had to be, accumulated to enact this death sentence.
It was all a part of your plan, then?
Indeed. This power, accrued over 5 centuries, could have sustained Fontainians for millennia had it only been used for that purpose. But only power of this magnitude could hope to destroy the Hydro Archon's divine throne, shaking the rules established by Celestia and break...
So the Oratrice's call for death was for neither Farina nor Focalor, but for the Hydro Archon. The destruction of that divine throne, if I do not misunderstand...
Returning what's rightfully yours to you, of course. In other words, this was all done to return the authority of the Hydro Archon to the Hydro Dragon of this planet. Oh, what? Getting sad. The authority of the ancient dragons shall soon be yours once more, O Hydro Dragon Sovereign. And this is the face you make.
All you've done throughout the years.
I've never quite seen it that way, you know. Even now, I'm quite pleased at how well my deception worked. Hydro Dragon, don't cry. I must say, had it been within my rights, I would have loved to judge the heavenly principles themselves. Were they not guilty of essentially the same crime? Egeria stole the power of the primordial sea. and the heavenly principle stole the power you ancient dragons possessed. I, for my part, am the god of justice. And is it not just that your Speaking of justice, I have always believed that justice... So, if the theft of the primordial sea's might was Fontaine's original sin, then, leaving matters of procedural right and wrong aside, the descent of the Fontanians as humans and their right to exist in this world would be Fontaine's original justice. In other words, existence was Egeria's justice, and to me, justice is the continuation of that existence, defying the prophecy and ensuring that Fontaine's people shall live on. That should be the justice enthroned over all others. At this point, we, whether it be myself or all other Fontanians, have shouldered the burden of this sin for far too long. Iudex Nervillet, the highest judge in our land, when you regain your full power as an elemental sovereign, what verdict shall you pass upon us?
So when I was invited to the court of Fontaine to serve as Iudex, I see now that that was your idea too. At last, I now understand the true purpose behind this position. In the beginning, I was uninterested in human existence. But these 5 centuries of living alongside them have gradually brought about mutual understanding between us. You are a devious one, Focalor. Things being as they are, surely you know that I could never declare them to be guilty.
The hour of my execution is almost here. For the sinner, the curtain call has come. I know I may not sound it, but faced with death, I find myself a little afraid. Perhaps this is one thing both gods and humans have in common. Farewell, Nervillet. I hope you've enjoyed the part you played these 500 years.
Iudex Nervillet, hereby declare, people of Fontaine, your sins are forgiven.
You think I've got a sharp
What just happened?
Was that bright light some sort of misdirection?
But since we're all still alive and haven't been to—
It's time to end this. We must mete out
Didn't you say just a moment ago that
I have gained the strength sufficient to deal with it. We should seize the opportunity to pursue our core. Traveler, now that the oratories can no longer function, I require an executor to help me mete out justice. The root of the calamities befalling Fontaine. The beast that— Come with me, traveler. The—
But how are we going to do that? It's huge!
I've already done my best to separate power from my limits, in a way. Considering the size of the beast, I cannot reach the power source. Unless we can find a way to attack it from within. We shall share the part of the ancient dragon's power with you. We shall look for an opening together.
Quit following me. Behold!
Feel its sorrow turning into hostility.
Gaze upon me!
Shine down!
Let's light it up! Teamwork is
Squall Fury! The all-devouring narwhal cannot resist its instinct to devour. Continue to trigger its hostility. Chance will present itself.
Allow me! Why is there a hole looking thingy over there? It looks scary!
Shine down!
Behold!
Hold the line!
I have granted you my protection. Do not fear. Seize the moment and use my power to suppress its root from within.
Power music.
I'm going in!
Covenants of the Deep!
The wind rises.
Illusion shattered!
Rest and rebuild!
You're dead. Power music. Wretched vermin.
Thanks for helping with the cleanup. It should have been my job, but it was just supposed to be a short private training session for me. I didn't think that my disciple and my master's pet would start brawling in the meantime. Well, actually, I had a feeling that it would happen at some point, but...
That power...
Paimon has an idea. From what she said earlier, she must be Child's master. Skirk, right? It's just that he gave us the impression that she was the less talkative person.
I simply did not have anything to say to the weak. But you, on the other hand, managed to defeat the all-devouring narwhal without using power from beyond this world. So you may speak to me as equals. I have to agree. It's a strange use of a planet's primordial waters just to raise an all-devouring narwhal. That kind of power is wasted on it. It's not cooperative. It eats too much. And I have more important things to do with my time than pet sitting. The only thing that creature has going for it is its looks. All in all, it fails as a pet.
Miss Skirk? I think you might have missed the point.
The point being?
Well, being that this pet almost destroyed an entire nation. So what sort of person is your master? Well, Child's master's master. Wait, is that right?
Oh, right. So you don't know him. Sorry, his name is Sertologi.
Huh?
I am unfamiliar with that name.
Huh. So Master isn't sufficiently famous. How should I describe him then? Have you heard of the name The Fowl?
The Fowl?
Still nothing? Well, how about the Visionary? Vetterfulnir then? Or Gold Rhindaughter?
Ooh, that one we've heard! Rhindaughter's part of the Hexen Circle. She's obeyed.
Oh, so you do know that name. To be honest, I also heard all of those names and titles from my master. I don't actually, but I suppose you understand now, yes? My master is likely a similar sort to Rhindaughter. They are both pursuing some form of perfection.
Wait! Didn't you also mention a visionary person?
Actually, never mind that. I believe it expedient to inform you that the all-devouring narwhal used up nearly all its strength fighting you. Such roiling hydro energies will prove difficult for the planet's deep seas to digest. As such, the fontaine back on the surface has most likely been thrown into chaos. In other words, the prophecy that you've been fretting over should now be in full swing.
What?
Not to worry. Focalor has already managed to deceive the heavenly principles.
In the end, the people will all be dissolved into the waters, and only Furina will remain, weeping on her throne. Only then will the sins of the people of Fontaine be washed away.
Hey! Help! Over here!
All hands, initiate emergency rescue!
water's receding!
It's a miracle!
Water's receding.
We didn't dissolve. The prophecy was wrong. The prophecy was wrong!
We're saved. The prophecy was wrong.
The soil renewed. The Suite de Rasula talks post-disaster rebuilding. I recently visited Poisson to meet with Miss Navia, spokesperson of Old Soil can still give birth to new bloom, Miss Navia stated. Hope is like seeing a small cookie when you're starving late at night. You just need a little of it. Skyship Winglet, boon or bane of the Fontaine Research Institute. The various disputes that have arisen on account of Mr. Edwin have suddenly become a shield over the Institute, with Jurier turning out to be a once-overlooked hidden gem. People always call the first researcher mad, but few know what to call the second. And should that latter person achieve a miracle, they would find it all the harder to find a word with which to classify him and his team. Wow! Paimon barely recognizes the people in the reports. Are those really Jurier and Navia?
What do you think? Pretty enthralling, huh? The Steambird's idea was pretty... The value for these big scoops lies in their inevitable follow-up. Edwin's assistant, Jurier, created a true flying ship, while Navia is leading people in the reconstruction of their home. I'm sure that these stories could draw...
Paimon's curious too!
And that's exactly why I'd like you to come conduct interviews with me. You're the best incubators of news, if you haven't noticed. And also, with you around, I'm sure I'll get to see that Duke.
Are you sure? Hasn't he turned you down several times already?
Oh, this time will be different. Come on, let's head to Poisson first, and then make a trip to the
Squall and Fury! Yeah! Quit following me! Behold! Huh. Upon the gale.
Navia! Oh, it's you. What brings you all here?
Hey, we're just having a look around.
I'm here to update my...
Let me introduce you. This is Mr. Garunt Snezhevich. He represented the Knave in sending us a large amount of supplies. Our residents are hard at work as well.
Hello, Miss Charlotte. I'm a big fan of yours. I especially like... But if you don't mind...
I get where you're coming from. I'll keep it as simple as possible.
That would be fine.
Oh, you're back too. How are things?
We finished laying down the construction materials. It'll be another hour before the workers are able to go over there.
Huh? You're here too, Clorinde?
Well, her reputation's greatly risen after that whole duel business with Miss Farina. So she's here in Poisson to wait out the heat.
There's too much to consider in the reconstruction of Poisson.
Oh, wait just a moment. Do you mind me asking if you...
Forget it. I'm sure you can find a better theme than that.
I see you're the same as always. Couldn't you do me a favor for Navi?
Well, if we're talking about doing things for my sake, you might as well just take a few more photos of me. Or of the Traveler. It's better than wasting time persuading Clorinde at any rate.
Of course I will. I'm not gonna let him off that easy. All right, then everyone who wants to be in the photo, gather up. And smile.
How did it go? Was it a good shot? Did Paimon look cute in it?
Not bad. Your addition really helped the composition of the picture. All right, hang on a moment. Let me snap a few more shots. All right, that should do it. I'll be back here later anyway, so let's call it a day.
You're very quick.
Speed is of the essence when it comes to the news, and freshness is the key. Also, not to brag, but I'm pretty good at building connections.
Wow, you really do have that never say die.
I'll hazard a guess that this is how you got that interview at the Fortress of Meripede.
Whoa, you're well informed. Let me make a guess too.
That's a very complete information chain.
In truth, all Monsieur Neuvillette asked me was, when did the fortress become so friendly towards the media? I told him that it was best not to speak too soon. There's no guarantee that Ridesley will make a personal appearance.
You're right. I've got to treasure every moment I have with them. In which case, I'll be making a move first.
Stay safe now. And tell me if you hear anything interesting. I'll treat you to afternoon tea in exchange.
Squall Fury!